This is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the sound bites. Today we have joining us Anson Tebbetts, who is the new Secretary of Agriculture and Food and Markets.
Don't forget food.
Well, I know, we have to talk about that. So welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
It's sort of like coming home, isn't it?
Yes, it's great
bit?
to be back. It's
Yeah.
in front of my old sort of television world, which I have been out of for about, what is it, September now?
Yes,
so I guess
how quickly we forget.
9 months I've been out of it. So.
Yep. And joining me, of course, is Ben Kinsley, who's my co-host and co-producer for the show, who's Executive Director of Campaign for Vermont.
Thank you, Pat.
So, Anson, we always ask people to give us a little background and.
Okay, sure. Well, I grew up in Cabot, and that's where I currently live. I haven't gone too far.
Right.
And I grew up on a dairy farm, small dairy farm, probably a hillside farm. We had about 300 acres and dairy cows, and we milked about 40 to 50.
Wow.
So small dairy farm. Shipped to Cabot for a number of years. My grandfather was one of the first farmers to go down and ship his milk to Cabot Creamery.
Oh, really?
Which we've seen grown over the years. So it's kind of funny to look through some of the old milk receipts, and they'll be celebrating, Cabot will be celebrating its 100th anniversary next year. So you'll be hearing more about that. So it's kind of special.
Get them on my show.
And so I was a dairy farmer. That's which is my background, which got me to the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets.
Now you were deputy.
I was.
When it was deputy commissioner?
I was the deputy secretary back then as well. I think it was under Governor Douglas.
Oh, when they changed it?
They changed it. They elevated to an agency because they thought agriculture, as we all know, is very important to Vermont, and they wanted to elevate it to a higher level.
I really actually supported that idea, even though the agency itself is smaller than most agencies. But
sure.
I think out in the real world, it looks better.
It is, and it's good because it is, agriculture, is important to our economy, our dairy, our diversified agriculture, our meats, our local meats, our cheeses.
It's not just cows anymore.
It's not just cows. We have a lot of things going. We have hemp now, where people are trying to grow hemp and turn it into a product. We have people want to grow hops now and want to grow hops and to make for our craft beer.
Yes, and that we've got a lot of.
Oh,
there's definitely a market for that
my
one.
word.
Yeah.
No, that is.
I should bring my husband on to be the resident.
No,
expert
everyone
on
wants
this.
to be on that tour. We've got and also the distilleries are growing. We have fruits and vegetables. So there's a lot of things going on in agriculture outside dairy.
So they officially added food and markets to the title.
Food and
When was
markets.
that?
Food
Which
and markets.
makes sense.
Yeah, because we are regulators as well. So we're not only marketing and promotion. So we regulate the dairy processors, the farms. We have weights and measures. We regulate the gas pumps, and I think with the price of gas going up recently, people are probably paying a little closer to the gas pump. If you look on the gas pump and you see it, whether it's been inspected or not, our inspectors go out just to make sure that whatever they say that
honest
what's going on in there
no
is supposed to be
thumb on the
exactly
on the scale.
Right.
So you can tell when it's been inspected, and every pump in Vermont is inspected at least once a year.
That's great.
Weights and measures. We have even scanners in grocery stores to
Yep.
make sure when you go in and buy that item, whatever is on the
accurate.
counter matches up when you walk out the door. So we have that. We have markets and food and also the overall agriculture.
I must say, you mentioned Cabot. I get the biggest kick when we're traveling across country, and there we are.
It is
Cabot cheese and Cabot this and Cabot that. I just think it's great.
Or Ben and Jerry's. For
Or
that
Ben and
matter.
Jerry's, the two of them, right?
No, we have a couple of international brands and national brands,
and
both Cabot and Ben and Jerry's. And we talked about the beer. We've got some international brands, and also some artisanal cheese operations that have sort of come out of Cabot's growth as well. Cabot was very instrumental in Jasper Hill and et cetera, getting them started in Greensboro and working that up through there with the Cabot cloth bound. And all that's great. We've seen dozens of new plants come on in the last 10 years of the artisanal you may have the farm and the cows right there, but you also may have the cheese operation next
Yeah,
door. So that's
right.
all very important.
Very exciting.
Well, and you got Green Mountain Coffee also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Green Mountain Coffee, as that's grown, who would have thought that that company
And
would
we
have...
won't even talk about maple syrup. I was
I know.
Well, that's-
holding that to the end.
Well, we're going to save the
Yeah,
maple syrup
exactly.
to the end, the sweet talk at the end,
Yes,
for sure.
exactly, because that's exciting. But I must tell you, you have 4 divisions, and other than the administration one, I didn't think they were not reflective of what you just mentioned.
Well,
it's very strange. Why is that?
the one that is reflective of is called agriculture development,
Right.
and that's where we offer technical assistance, maybe some grants for maybe working lands. We have a program called Working Lands, and that helps. For example, we've helped fund a group that's making barrels that are going to be used in making gin or
Whoa.
whatever. So it's a kind of a neat story, but it's the startup money that they need to get it to the next level. So
Nice.
these gentlemen, it's a kind of a neat story. They're out of Richmond. They're making oak barrels
Oh my God.
that they're going to make so we can put the the beverage in
Yeah.
there. And they are currently working at the National Guard. They're veterans. Working at the National Guard. They're eventually going to retire, and this is sort of their ramping up for that. But there's a tremendous need for real oak barrels.
Yeah.
They, Vermonters want to buy as much as they can locally. There's not a producer here in Vermont that's doing that currently. They are the ones, so they're hoping to ramp up and grow their business. So we give them infrastructure money, maybe a piece of equipment.
Exciting.
For example, Peasley's potatoes. We all have heard Peasley's potatoes up in
Yes,
Guildhall
yes.
over the years.
Yeah.
They needed a piece of equipment that could bag the potato into plastic bags. That's one thing about as we go along. People want to see your potato. Did you know that? You want to see your potato?
'Cause
you
you
want to
don't
look
wanna
at
get
it.
surprised,
You want
right?
to,
Yeah.
for years they bagged it in a
Yeah. That cloth.
in a
Yeah.
paper
Yeah.
paper bag.
Yeah.
Couldn't see the potato, but the new audience, so they needed a new machine to do that. So that type of support comes through the Working Lands
Actually,
initiative.
I always go to the single.
You buy them
I
singly?
buy them so I can look at them.
So look at them,
Yeah.
and that's so they're adapting to the consumer, but they needed some startup money for that.
Nice.
So the Agriculture Development Division works on farmers markets, works on these particular projects, farm to school, trying
Right.
to get more local produce into our schools. So that division is kind of the economic development
Okay.
division. So that's one division.
Yeah.
And then we have a water quality pesticide division, which is mostly regulatory,
Yeah.
with some technical assistance. As we know, water quality is a high
Big
priority.
issue. We've done several shows on it.
Big issue.
Yep.
Tremendous amount of money. The agency's about $5.2 million over the next 2 years that we're spending working on farm projects
Well, and
for
every
Vermonters.
discussion has the word farmer in it when we're talking about water quality and runoff.
Right.
So
And it's very
you're right in
important. Farmers are engaged. They are involved. They know they have to control phosphorus entering the waterways. So they need help. They need help designing, manure pits that contain it so it doesn't have a chance of running off. They have silage bunkers that we don't want the leachate to go there. So we have programs that may help them with the help of federal programs
Right.
as well. Get that, because some of these projects could be hundreds of
I was gonna
thousands of
say big
dollars.
bucks.
Big bucks, and
Yeah.
there's a cost share for them. Even at 10% at a project that's $500,000, that's a considerable amount of money
Right.
that needs to be done. But they're working on it, and so we offer them programs working with our federal counterparts. We offer technical assistance. We have a regulatory division there. If someone does not, obey the rules, we have the authority to, cite them, fine
Yeah.
them, get them in compliance.
Good.
And we're trying to use a common sense approach to all this. We really want folks to really, if they need help, to reach out to us and get help. So that's the water quality division. And then we have we have animal health.
Yep.
So we got to make sure all animals are taken care of with our big livestock population. And we have meat inspection. The state
That's the
plants.
safety and consumer. I would think.
Safety and
Because that's
consumer.
food safety,
Food
big
safety,
issue.
Right.
Oof.
huge, and then also in that is the milk safety as
Yeah.
well, making sure that our dairy plants are properly safe, also on the farms. So that the consumer assurance is big in that. Maple as well, making sure everything, all those laws
Right.
that we protect that brand, that it's
Oh,
real
God,
maple.
that's all we would need
Right.
is a problem with food safety with
Yeah.
our maple syrup.
Right.
That'd do us in.
Yeah, so
Yeah, great.
it's interesting. There's a lot going on, and a lot of different areas.
Great.
What I think is great is that you now have that food piece of it included in the title of your agency, as opposed to you're doing the work all along, but now that you have that in the title, I think it makes it very clear that pretty much all of our food, actually I should say all of our food, comes from agriculture in one form or another. And I think a lot of times people think dairy when they think
Right.
agriculture, and there's a lot more to agriculture as a whole than just dairy.
Absolutely. Dairy continues to be, our biggest. It's about a $2 billion a year industry in Vermont, which is, in some sectors of Vermont, it's even more important because, Franklin County, Addison County, Orleans County, rural areas built on the farm economy, it's even a bigger impact for
Right.
them.
Right.
Because they rely on, people buying, feed and fertilizer,
Sure.
veterinarian services, labor, all those kind of things are, concentrated in that. And so it's statewide, it's very important. But you get into a place with some of these other sectors, we really want to focus on the rural economy. Some of these smaller companies make a big difference.
What's the definition of a farm, a beef farm? Is it if you have so many cattle,
Well,
that determines whether you are a farm, if that's
Well,
the
there's several definitions of what is farm or not a farm, and some of it is a federal definition of how much you
Because I
gross.
thought we've lost a lot.
We have. It's interesting. We have probably in the dairy. We can track dairy
Dairy,
because we
right.
know where for licensing and inspection. We probably have 800 plus 820, 30 dairy farmers, and that
Okay.
includes also cow or sheep or goat. So we have those, and from that, there's various. You could have a tax definition of a farm. You could have the federal definition.
Right.
You could have the local definition. So there's several, and that's when it gets kind of
in
confusing.
Berlin, if I'm remembering, I think we had at 1.9, and now we're down to 2.
Sure.
And if I've got that wrong, I apologize, Berliners. But bottom line is it's reduced dramatically.
And it's what's interesting about that. Although the number of farms has decreased, the amount of milk we're still
I was
producing.
gonna say, has they gotten bigger, maybe?
They've gotten bigger, or maybe a farm goes out and then they may buy their cows,
Oh,
or
I
they
see.
move
Yeah,
around
right,
to another
right.
location. So the amount of milk we're still producing is about the same.
Yeah.
It's just and of course we don't want to lose any farms at
No,
all.
right.
They're very they're core centers of our communities, and we want big farms, we want small farms, we want little farms, we want we
Right,
want
right.
people to have 5 cows. That's still very important to some parts
Yeah,
of our
great.
state.
Interesting.
So what we're really seeing is a consolidation of farms in a lot of ways. It's not so much we're losing capacity,
Right.
but we're losing the number. A lot of the smaller farms maybe are
And
getting
and
absorbed.
that's I think that you'll find that industry wide. My old business television, you've seen the
Yeah.
consolidation of that as well.
Right.
It happens everywhere, and it's scale. Can they do it? And dairy is no different than any other
Sure.
industry. We have 3 sort of sectors when we look at regulation on dairy. We have large farm operations, which is 700 cows or more.
Whoa.
We have about 26 in the state of Vermont that are,
Huh.
and, it could be 1 or 2 more, but I think it's about 26, 27 large farm operations. And then we have medium farm operations, which is the majority of them, which is the 200 to 700 cow, and then below 200 you're considered a small farm operation. So it varies, but for the most part they're in the, and 20 years ago a medium farm operation with 200 cows was probably considered
Right. Well, they were doing it the old-fashioned way,
was
too.
considered large, yeah.
Right. They
We've
didn't
had
have
a lot
all the
of
equipment.
We have a lot of the technology has eased some of those things. We have now a lot of people using robotic milkers,
Right.
even small farms now.
Ray Burke taught me how to milk a cow.
Oh well,
So I'm
absolutely.
said I got taught by the master. So
Did you ever get a chance to
I
milk
was
one
in
of
a
those?
contest.
One of the ash years? Yeah, it must have been the ash years, right?
Yeah,
The red and white
one-
ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, wonderful.
From Ray Burke himself.
Awesome.
So don't mess with me, Anson.
I would
I
never.
know how to milk
I
a
would
cow.
never challenge your milking skills.
No, seriously. I
No.
got the master himself.
I grew up. My grandfather and my uncles ran a farm. They had about 100 Holsteins
Great.
that they milked.
Okay.
So I grew up working on the farm. And,
Good, and we'll
know.
put you. We'll have a contest.
Oh no.
Vote for Vermont
Well, I
against
think that's
us.
the next show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll have a milk off.
Yeah, just jump through.
Well, actually, so the conversation about consolidation of farms, I think, leads right into the next question that we wanted to ask, which was, you were interviewed recently talking about the challenges and opportunities for agriculture in Vermont. What do you see those challenges as, and also the opportunities potentially that are presenting themselves?
Well, if you talk about the challenges for I think farmers, I think there's a lot of scrutiny about regulation. I think these water quality rules that have come on board, some of them just last November started.
Right.
I think there's a tremendous amount of anxiety. What does it mean to my operation? What do I need to get into compliance? How do I do it? How do I pay for it? If I got some
Right.
system that needs to be done, where am I going to get that help? So I think there's a tremendous amount of sort of like, what do I do? And they're still trying to run their businesses, their
And
families,
maybe make a profit.
and make a profit. All that kind of stuff is going on, and then this sort of was another layer. But I have to say, I think all farmers are engaged and want to do their part. I don't know a farmer that wakes up in the morning and says, well, how do I not
Right.
comply, or how do I not do what's right? Farmers know their land, know their animals, and I know that they're committed to finding a solution to that. And of course, the economics, we're in a national, international world, especially in dairy with, about 10% of our market is now focused on getting that product to an international market,
Right.
which is tremendously,
Right.
that's a lot of pressure on folks. You've got Mexico is very important. Canada is very important. You've got China. All these places are very, very important too.
Remember Doobie, Lieutenant Governor Doobie went down to Cuba. to talk
Absolutely,
milk.
Cuba.
To
Yeah,
talk
and
milk.
he was in
Yeah.
before. I think our relations were not as great
Yeah,
at that
he went
point.
down
Right.
quite early
Right.
on.
Right
and we
on.
all thought, what is he doing? But he was talking milk.
He was talking about,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Good for
Cuba is another, if that comes to be, it could be another
Right.
opportunity for, because it can't. I guess the bottom line is we can't consume all that we're making now
Right.
within our borders in the United States. So there has to be an effort to try to get it to other markets.
Right. Well, when I was doing the research, I found this statistic, which I thought was that agriculture contributes more than $261 million to Vermont's GDP every year. That is a very substantial number. And then with all of the jobs that go along with farming, and as you were saying, the stores that cover the products, and it just goes on and on. And it seems to me that, and I think you were just touching on it, there's so many things are changing rapidly, and the farmer is out trying to do his thing. And what do you do to help them to make those changes as things are changing right before their eyes? Not just with regulation, but the whole industry, the international.
Yeah.
How do they do that? I mean, these
Well,
guys are hardworking guys that just want to.
I think we have to be, we have to give them the best information possible. If a farm needs to be, maybe they're conventional now and maybe they need to be in an organic market.
Yeah.
Well, we need to give them the proper information. We need to make sure they have the right business plan. We can help with them. Can we get that business plan for you? Can they transition to something that's maybe better for their family? One thing that's a challenge for folks is as we all get older, what's going to happen with the next generation? Does
Right.
the next generation want to be there? We need to be prepared for that. We need to also be worried about education. People really want to know where their food is coming from now, and they really want to. They really want to know
Right.
where their
Well, the
food comes.
labeling is an issue, right?
Labeling is an
Yeah.
issue. How it was it, how the animals were cared for. Consumers want to know that. Farmers have to be involved in that. One thing that we found that's been very successful and very I think rewarding both for the farmer and also the public is we've been having breakfasts on the farms over the last couple of years, and we with the help of the dairy promotion folks and a number of volunteers, they are invited to come have breakfast
Oh, that's a
on the
great
farms. We
idea.
had one recently up in East Montpelier. We had one in Addison County this year. We have two every year. They're all free.
Is that different than your listening tour, or is
That was a little
part of-
that's a little different.
Little
This
different?
is hey, come to the farm. I think there's a segment of the population that's never visited a farm in Vermont. They may have moved here, they may
Right.
have skipped a generation. So these are an opportunity to say, here, come visit my farm, see what my practices are,
Right.
see how the cows are fed. You know, we had folks that were watching a calf being born. It was,
Oh,
you
I've
know,
never seen that, right.
so it was fast. That was everyone was gathered around
Right.
this pen and was like, "What's going on over there? You know, what's going on?" Well, it was that time of the day, and
Right.
the veterinarian was right there in case there were any issues, and it was a wonderful experience for a lot of folks. And who doesn't like a free breakfast?
Well, exactly. Right.
Well,
and fresh. That's right off the
It's
farm.
such a great idea. Is there a website that our viewers can go
Yeah,
to?
you can go.
find
You
out?
can go to the Vermont Agency of Agriculture website. We have that. We've had the 2 for this year, but we plan on doing it next year. We think
That's
it's
great.
it's valuable,
We'll
and
publicize it.
and we rotate them around the state. And
Yeah.
you know, we had hundreds of people showing up, and they do it in shifts, so you know you can
That
work your
would
way
be a
through.
great show. We do shows sometimes out of the studio on,
No,
in
that would be a
live.
fabulous
That
one to
would
do.
be
Yeah,
an
that'd be great.
incredible show to do.
They're
Interview
educational,
people.
they're fun,
Yeah.
and you get a good meal. So you
Great.
can't go wrong. And the 2 we had, the weather cooperated beautifully. You know, summer in Vermont, nice. You know, they start early in the morning. You can have your
Great.
breakfast
Oh,
at
I
8
love it.
o'clock, and you're done by 2 o'clock.
Excellent.
And it was just a nice experience. So education, I think, has to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're trying to focus on, you know, agriculture as a career. You know,
Right.
could it be a career for you? And we want to develop a sort of a culture of, hey, maybe you don't need to go out and get a 4-year degree in agriculture, but you want to test drive something. Maybe you
Right.
want to spend some time on a farm, learn about a particular practice. Maybe it's starting feeding calves, and that
Right.
may lead to something else with animal care. So education is another sort of thing we
You
think.
must work closely with VTC because they've got a great
Yeah.
program.
They do have a great program,
Yeah.
and they have a a working farm there,
Right.
which is great. UVM, exciting thing about UVM now, you can get ice cream at the UVM bar. They've just opened it up after many years.
Oh,
It
no
closed when they had some transitions years ago, and the alumni
It's-
really wanted that back. But it's an interesting story where the milk is coming from their cows at UVM. It's being processed in St. Albans and made into a ice cream mix, and then it's going down to Manchester where it's being made into ice cream, and coming back to UVM
Wow.
where it's
Covering
being
the whole
sold
state.
where it's being sold at the Davis Center, and we all know the number of people that go through the
Yeah,
Davis
right.
Center every day.
Right.
Pretty
So
staggering.
it's
Yeah.
significant, and so there you have a really strong local dairy
Nice.
product in the center of UVM, helping Wilcox down in Manchester, helping St. Albans, helping Cabot, helping UVM, and then eventually I could see the alumni getting in there, and who knows, we may have a Pat McDonald flavor or something
you go.
like that. What would your flavor of ice cream would you like the best?
I'd have to think about that.
Okay, you've
Vincent.
got some
Something
time.
just came to mind. Maybe it's not good.
I would be cookie dough, just for the record.
Cookie dough.
You'd be what?
I'd be cookie dough.
Oh, cookie dough.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
is that
Yeah.
cute?
Yeah, that would be my
Anyway.
flavor.
Anyway. So, should we move on?
Yeah, so I mean, we've had lots of discussions, and we touched on this earlier, but we've had a lot of discussions on our show about water quality issues and agriculture's role in the water quality issues in Vermont. I know that your agency offers assistance to farmers in helping to work through some of these issues. Can you, dig into that a little bit? Tell us what kind of services do you actually offer? How do you work with farmers to meet those runoff goals?
So we offer, from soup to nuts, whatever, depending on what program we work with. We also work with our federal partners on programs as well. So it may start as, say, I've got a manure pit, and maybe the manure pit needs to be upgraded. Maybe it needs to come in compliance, so there's maybe no issues of it possibly running off into a waterway. So what we can do is we can design that for them. So we have engineers on staff that
Really?
can design manure systems. Then we work on the financing. There might be a program within us that we could pay for, a certain percentage of it. Say it's usually this could be 80-20, 90-10, depending on
Right.
what project it is.
Right.
There may be some federal funds, and then there's the farmer's contribution. So we can design, build, and make sure they're okay, and we can get those off the ground. We can offer, technical assistance. We offer, advice on everything from cover crops. What kind of cover crops you should be doing to retain water in the soil so it doesn't have a chance of running off. There's a lot of that going on. We have folks where we're now working on injecting the manure directly into the soil, as opposed to land spreading it on the top.
Right on the top,
On
yeah.
the top, so if it was to rain and you get a weather event, that
Right,
possibly
it-
could run off into
it
whatever. So
goes
if you can
where
get
it
it
should.
down. So we work on those particular
Nice.
programs. So yeah, we're trying to offer as much technical assistance, and our big challenge is the capacity to get all the work done
Right,
and get those,
exactly.
because
How many employees do you have these days?
we have about 130 total state employees.
That's pretty much stayed the same.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
And we've had an increase, and the biggest increase is shifted over to the water quality division. We have added some engineers to make sure we can get those designed and built.
So did they
and
help you a little bit this year in the legislature? Because
We-
they really focused on water
This
quality
year
and got
we,
some money.
we have no complaints in our state budget. We were fine. We didn't. I think one great accomplishment in this legislature was we had no new fees and we had no new taxes.
Right.
And I think that, and I as you, a former administrator in
Right.
state government, knows fees. You worked in DMV,
Yeah.
and when you start putting fees,
Yeah.
it does have the impact on the economy.
Of course, especially at DMV, because everybody uses DMV
Right.
for something or other.
Right,
so
and DMV is one of the agencies that's actually self-sufficient on fees, correct?
No,
Or they're close to.
no, we rely on the general fund.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but it helps.
And we got through it. I mean, we were able to,
Good.
give or take some losses here and there, but we were
Good,
able
good.
to, and I think services have remained the same. I don't think we lost services because we didn't have a new fee or a new tax. And now I think we're in a culture of we just need to let people know what's already passed and what the regulations are, and get people educated, informed, compliant. And if people get out of line, of course we have the authority that we're not going to
Nail 'em.
tolerate. We don't like to use that
We'll
word.
fix you.
Yeah.
Well, they should. This is
Well,
serious stuff.
It is, but we want to, and we do that, but we need to, we're trying to approach this as
Gently.
Well, I sign a lot of stuff. I have to tell
Yeah,
you, I
good.
do sign a lot
Good.
of issues around water
So
quality.
isn't, because I was looking at marketing, that's a big part of what you do, is we're talking about getting the word out. I put a list together of the things that I think are might be part of your marketing, because you're out in the public, the Big E, and you've spent some money redesigning the Big E building, right?
Absolutely,
Is
and
that coming? That's soon, right?
That's
Isn't-
where it's that the Big E is from September 15th.
I gotta go down.
17 days, and it's important to the state of Vermont.
Yeah.
Every state has a building. It's called the Avenue of States. Vermont, and I'm not bragging.
But
I'm just
we're the
telling you.
best.
I'm telling you that most consider the Vermont building one of the finest ones
Really?
there because it's authentic. We really sell and we really promote Vermont. Real cider donuts, real cheese. We have one of the few that somehow was able to get beer, craft beer,
Excellent.
there on the premises. We have artists. We have gentlemen who can carve with a chainsaw out front, and he
nice.
can move some of
You ever
his
been to the Big E?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh
it's-
yeah. I
it's
used to go
really
all the time with my
exciting,
uncles.
yeah.
West
Oh, really?
Springfield,
Yeah.
and I think that the key part about that is that we're all. I mean, for the vendors, it's a big time. It's 17 days to sell a lot of product,
Right.
which is very important to their
Right.
business plans. But also, we're selling Vermont to a larger audience. So, say, hey, someone has a good experience with that cider donut. Well, maybe they'll come up to,
Sure.
or maybe Cold Hollow and pay a visit and go along Route 100 and visit Ben and Jerry's, or go up into Stowe, or
Right.
stop at a farm, or experience real Vermont. So that we've got the state police down there. You'd be glad to know, recruiting people.
Oh, good for them.
They're down there. They have a booth
Yeah.
down there recruiting because we know we need to fill the ranks with
Yeah,
the.
they're actually having trouble, which
They're
surprises
like
me.
as the demographics, they
Yeah.
need to fill the ranks. So they're down there. Maybe they're going to grab 2 or 3 people that, hey, look, maybe they could come to Vermont and be a state trooper.
Yep.
So that's a partnership.
Great.
Also, the tourism department is there, promoting all things Vermont and all
Yep.
experiences Vermont. So they're a partner. So we're trying to it's not only agriculture that we're
And the
trying.
governor will be there one
The governor
day.
will be there.
That's Saturday, whenever
It's called
that
Vermont
day
Day,
is.
and Vermont is
Vermont Day.
Vermont Day is blessed. We have the middle Saturday, which is probably one of the busiest times
Yeah.
for that. and we're blessed to have, they've always given Vermont that middle Saturday, so he's
Yeah.
going to go down. We're going to have, and we have a number of artists, we have musicians.
Oh, nice. Right on the lawn out
Right
front?
on the lawn, playing good old Vermont tunes out there,
Great.
and the talent that we all know that we have. So it's important. Those 17
There you
days are
go.
really important to Vermont.
That's great.
And Fenway has a Vermont Day also, don't
Yeah,
they?
They do.
And you were there this year.
I
were you
was.
not? Yeah, along with the governor.
We're along the governor, and
Nice.
we had
Did you throw the ball out?
I did not do that.
Uh-huh.
It was a wonderful day, and again, that's another big
Great.
venue to just
PR is great.
just give to that audience of Vermont.
Yeah.
The governor was able to be on Nesson in the pregame show and talk about his racing, of course.
Yes, right.
We got a nice
And our beer.
and our
that
beer.
would go with that group. Right?
yeah. We got that. He got some time to spend in the broadcast booth on the
Nice.
radio broadcast talking about Vermont.
Great.
And we can't forget Clover the mascot was actually on the field
Wow.
promoting all things dairy with other mascots
Very
and
nice.
hanging out with Wally the Green Monster.
Excellent.
And
I love those caricatures.
I
do,
just
I swear.
something about him. You probably like the ones where they have with the races, with the mascot races, with the.
Oh, I love it. I just love them.
The
I get a big
Milwaukee,
kick
where
out of
the or is it in Washington where they have all the presidents
Yes,
racing each
right,
other,
exactly,
and someone always
exactly.
trips, or some
Right.
ball player hits them with a bat and
Right.
it goes viral, or something like that. So.
it.
I always said we should introduce Wally to Champ because,
Wow.
Champ is.
wow.
Wow.
We can have some gossip
And
going.
I had not known this, but apparently Wally has a significant other. I don't know if they're
Oh,
a couple, they're married, and I don't know her name, but she was there as
You
well.
have to come back, Anson, when you
and
have the information.
I'm not sure about that. But something's going
'Cause
on
I
down
had a
there.
big crush on Champ. I had more pictures of Champ, and then when he went over to Thunder Road, because I worked in Barrie,
Mm-hmm.
Champ used to know me,
Uh-huh.
and so he'd make a big deal about seeing me in the audience. I just was.
And then there was Bump. Is it
And
Bump?
Bump, right,
Bump,
Bump, right.
and our
Oh,
mascot.
Bump, yes, right.
Our mascot from
Yeah,
the Mountaineers
that's
happened to be
right.
down there too. So it was a fun day,
Yes.
and
Skip.
Skip was there as well.
Lots
So
of them.
woodchuck,
Anyway,
right?
Yeah,
It's a
right.
woodchuck.
Exactly. Anyway, so moving on. So we got farmers market, and that's
Yep.
is that fall
farmers
into
market?
your-
Yes, at farmers markets we have a number of them around of the state. It
Do you
varies-
travel around to them? Because
I've
some
seen
of them
it.
are amazing.
Well, they're just incredible, incredible events, and very important to our farmers. The one in Montpelier is popular on
Yes.
Saturdays. Burlington as well. We have one in Shelburne.
Yeah.
A lot of towns have them on.
I'm big on Sugar Bushes. Is it Sugar Bush or Waitsfield?
Waitsfield has a fabulous
they have
one.
Music and
Yeah,
lots
and
of
Waterbury has one, I think, on
Yep.
Thursday. So they're all very important. And the state is also, we've done a couple markets. We have one coming up on October 4th, I believe, on the State House lawn.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be a fall market
Great.
where we're trying to capitalize on the state workers as they get out of work. Could they
Perfect.
stop by,
Right.
see what's going on? It's just an added benefit to some of our
Sweet.
vendors who like farmers markets. We had one in Waterbury for the first time in the new complex there,
Nice.
and we had another one in the summer here.
So is that overseen by your
Yes,
office?
we
I would
organize
think
it
so.
as
Yeah.
we put out the the plea if people want to be a vendor, and then we organize it. We get the tables, we get the public relations, we try
So-
to get people there, and
Two more things.
Yeah.
The 2017 Fancy Food Show in San Francisco,
Yes.
where we did very well, I hear.
it's amazing how well we do on the international front with some of our products. Cheese, beer, crackers, and I wish everyone could see how competitive and how difficult it is to break into some of these markets, because you're competing against the world basically.
Right.
And
Some big bucks out there.
and it's not we support these shows. It costs a lot of money for a company to go, as
Right.
much as maybe $10,000 to have a booth there. We are able to, through some funding, try to get them there, and that could make a big difference to someone if they can get that, if they can win that award, and the buyers may see that,
Right.
and they say, "Oh, I want to try that."
Yeah.
So it's one of those
Right.
things we try to cultivate.
Well, I think we have 3 winning products at the very least. Our maple syrup, our beer. I mean, we've had the last 3 years at least has been a Vermont brewer, And then our cheese, is always winning awards as well, and at least 2 of those are in the dairy,
right?
In the dairy or the agriculture.
And you're going to
category.
see more with spirits as well. Your spirits.
I was just going to ask you, how does our?
I think we're going to have spirits that continue to grow as well.
Because we've got some great vodka.
Yeah.
And there is a few things that we really do very well.
You've got Stonecutter, Stonecutter in Middlebury, and you've got Smuggler's Notch
and
up in
Snow
Jeffersonville.
Farms, is it Snow
That's
Farms?
a
He
wine.
used to be a former
That's
ag.
a wine. That's a wine winery, and they're doing wine, and we have one in Shelburne, and those places.
Shelburne is great.
They have the one in South Hero you're talking about. They have Thursday nights. They have concerts.
Agriculture.
He did. He was a
remember his name.
Dave Lane.
Dave Lane, yes.
Dave Lane.
Yep.
He was, and he purchased that.
Right.
And so they've developed a way to have the cold weather grape,
great.
and so there's all that kind of agriculture that's very, very
Great
important
place
to
to
us.
live. Drinking, eating, what can go wrong?
Well, there was a headline. There was a headline a couple weeks ago in the Washington Post, I think it was, saying, asking the question: is Vermont the new Napa Valley of beer?
Oh,
and
excellent.
and the state has secured the craft brewery conference this year. Next year, actually, it's coming to
nice.
Vermont, which is significant. I believe it's in March, so you'll be seeing more on that.
Oh,
but
how
they have
exciting.
decided to come to Vermont, and I think it's because of what you said, is because we have become some of the finest brewers of beer.
Well, and you start seeing also, you've made it in any industry when you start seeing imitation, right? And you started to see these things pop up around the world, Vermont style beer or farmhouse style beer, and that's totally.
And you also see it when some of the, you look at the Budweiser marketing advertising now, you can see that in their imagery, they're trying to
that country.
They're trying to get that crafty element as well,
for us.
as opposed to the the big processor.
Excellent.
As well.
Okay, so actually 2 more things on the listening tour. The Vermont Leafy's fall.
Oh yes.
Fall photo contest.
Oh, this is.
I did my research.
We try to have
He's very
we're
busy.
not all regulation. We try to have a little bit of fun over there. So
Yeah.
what we're looking for is anyone that wants to send in a photo through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just send it to us, and the rules are pretty simple. It has to be foliage, and there has to be something related to farming in it, and we know we can find those
And
images.
somebody's sponsoring a $100.
And we're going to give
who
you
your sponsor
We're
is. I
going
hope you
to
remember.
the Vermont Cheese Council.
Right.
Is
right.
going to give us to give to whoever the winner is a big basket of cheese.
Oh, nice.
Nice
I'm gonna start
cheese.
taking photos.
So start taking those photos. Send them in to our Facebook page, the Vermont
Great.
Agency of Agriculture Facebook page.
Excellent.
We're trying to be more interactive and give more relevant information quicker. And you can tweet us a picture. You can join our Instagram
That's
account, and hopefully we'll have a little farm leafy fun.
Excellent. All right, last one, Ag Review, which is a very impressive.
Yes.
I will hold it up, I think, so people can see this. It's pages and pages.
Yes.
How often do you?
We do that once a month, and
Really?
and it goes to about 6,000 folks. It's online as well, so we have a
Right.
digital. We have
This
a
is
digital one,
amazing.
but we put and it's solid information about
Totally.
different programs. If you need help, it's informational. It's just we sell stuff in it. There's sort of if you've got a cow you want to get rid of, or you're looking for some piglets, that's in there,
Maybe
and that's
not.
been going on for a very, very long time.
Yes, I actually read the whole thing. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
There's some great articles in there where you can learn stuff, and then you have
And
some
it's-
very nice
it's-
stories about farmers. and
It's
people.
fun once in a while just to pick up a newspaper and read it, isn't it?
Oh, reading? Yes.
Isn't it fun?
Exactly.
And you're not looking like this, like this on your phone. You can actually, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, nothing happened.
But if someone wants that, they can just call the agency at 802-828-2430. 802-828-2430, and we'll get you a copy. I don't believe there's a charge for it. So.
No, because you can take it right off I printed this off the internet.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
great. Okay,
on-
last one, the
Yeah.
2017 listening tour.
Yes,
And you've been all over,
Yeah.
or going all over.
Right.
Do you do it yourself?
I do. Yeah, we went to Brattleboro, we went to St. Albans, we were in Montpelier, we went to Middlebury,
Great.
and we went to Lyndonville. And I didn't really have any agenda. I said, "Hey, everyone, I'm Anson, and let's talk."
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Great.
And
Farmers, people,
farmers,
regular-
people, public, had a great conversation with folks, And you know, and then we took some of those ideas and we're going to incorporate those in some of the things we do. One thing we heard is we need to be better with customer service.
Oh.
We need to be more responsive.
You as an agency?
Agency.
Oh.
You know, when people, you know, and this makes sense, when the government can be a pretty intimidating big
Right.
thing if you're not involved in it every day. So if they got a question about farmers markets, well, they should be able to go to our website immediately in 2 clicks, find out who am I going to talk to about farmers markets.
Right.
So we've redone our website with all our names and addresses and what we actually do
Oh, that's perfect.
is up there. There's phone numbers, there's emails, there's cell phones. That's all up there, so you have a better idea. So you're not searching and looking. So
Right.
customer service, and we need to be more responsive about when they have a question about a permit or a regulation. We need to be like on top of it,
Good.
be timely with our responses. If we get an email, you need to respond in a certain amount of time. You can't
Right.
let it linger. You can't be in a box, because if it just lingers, that's when
Right.
we fail.
Yeah.
We need to be.
And it's always the little,
No, it's
you know, it's always the little thing that people
No.
just, how hard is this? I just wanted an answer.
Right.
And they
Right.
don't realize what else you're
No.
dealing with.
Right.
But they get, and I don't blame them. I had that at DMV all the time.
No.
It was, I'm just asking you for one piece of paper. How hard is this?
Yeah.
And
So we're just trying to be.
sometimes it is hard,
We're
but
trying
it
to be,
shouldn't be.
and that's one of the big takeaways from
Yeah.
listening to her is being customer
Good.
friendly and
Good
good.
for you. You
Yeah.
had good turnouts?
We did a wonderful turnout. I
Great.
got to meet a lot of great people and great ideas, and the staff came and they got to
Nice.
hear feedback, and
Great.
I'm really blessed because we have tremendous experience and really sharp people working at.
Actually,
the
my
agency.
experience, because I'm sure after all these years, some of them are not there anymore, always a great crowd, always a
Yeah.
great staff.
And they
They're
like to have
hardworking.
fun, and they do it on the cheap, and
Yeah.
they really conscious about
Yeah.
every dollar
That's great.
from the taxpayers.
So I've got a couple of things that I just wanted to ask you about, is that I know has been an issue, is the large animal vets. That used to be a big problem for
It's
years.
still an issue in some
Yeah.
areas, and we have a scholarship program now that Dr. Haas, who is our state veterinarian, was able to get off the ground, where we can offer some scholarship money if a large animal vet will come to an area that's underserved.
Oh,
For
great.
example, the Northeast Kingdom. The trend has been, like in anything, if you're a large animal vet, you don't know when that cow's going to get sick,
Right.
so you may be called out at 3
Right.
o'clock in the morning.
I watched Dr. Pole. Do you
Yeah.
watch Dr. Pole?
No, I have not watched that one.
We just
Is that an
adore him.
Animal Planet one? Is that one of those
Yeah,
reality
Animal
shows?
Planet. And then he's puts the hand in to deliver the cow.
and goes.
and,
What state is he from? You know?
What is it? He's out in the cold, like
Oh.
Michigan or somewhere.
Okay.
Really, really cold out there,
Yeah,
below
you-
zero kind of weather.
You can learn a lot. So, you know, in veterinarian, when someone wants to be a vet, they kind of like, maybe they want to be a small animal vet where
Right.
they
Dogs and cats.
dogs,
Yeah.
the structure is a little easier. You're
Yeah.
not being called out. You're not working every weekend.
Right.
So there is a great need for large animal
Right.
vets in some regions.
So I remember that was always an issue. The other issue was slaughterhouses.
Slaughterhouses.
I have this memory thing.
Yeah, and we think, and that's
I'm a
the
killer at a
issue
cocktail
of capacity of getting your animals
Yeah.
slaughtered.
Have we fixed that?
I think we're in a good place with that now. It all depends on the time of year. This time of year, of course, there's a lot of animals that are going to go into slaughter, and these may be the
Right.
ones, your backyard ones, that you may have 2 or 3 animals, but the commercial accounts are the consistent ones. And it's all about volume. If you can put enough animals through an operation,
Right.
you know, Vermonters are very engaged on where their meat's coming from.
Because that takes some oversight, watching the slaughterhouses,
Right,
making
and
sure
we
they're in
inspect-
compliance.
We inspect all the state facilities,
Yeah.
and we also help the federal facilities as well inspection. So,
One more is raw milk.
yeah.
This is where I get vocal. Where are we these days in selling raw milk off a farm?
It depends on what level you're at, but we do allow sales of raw milk. It's not complete, but we do allow that, and that's buyer beware on that. That's one of
Because
those.
you know what always got me worried is they allow the customer to bring the container.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, what if that container
Right.
isn't clean and I'm putting my hard-earned milk in there, and then people get sick and they're not going to blame the container. they're going to blame me.
Yeah.
And I fought against that in the legislature
Yeah.
because I was always worried all we need is one bad run of people being sick.
It's a difficult issue because, you know, a lot of us grew up on raw milk on the farm and,
Right.
you know, and it, you know, never got sick.
Yeah.
But you can have, you know, you can have a very, very clean operation and
Sure,
somehow
and
something
have
can go wrong. So there is some risk with it. We've loosened up some of the regulations on that and tried to make it more, you know, it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's you know,
I just
as
didn't
long
like
as they
the-
know
I didn't like
there
that
is
you bring your own container. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good.
little a little bit more, you know, there is some risk
Oversight,
to it,
yeah.
but as long as they, you know, the public is aware of that
Yeah.
risk,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and the seller is aware of that risk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the seller obviously doesn't want something to go wrong
Absolutely
because that
not.
hurts them.
Sure.
It's
Right.
on them.
Yeah,
No,
'cause
that-
it wouldn't
you know,
take much to do damage to the milk industry if something happened.
Right. Right.
So, kind of in that vein, you also regulate fruits, vegetables, produce, and those types of products, as well as meats, and and there's a whole range of products. But the vegetables and produce contribute $35 million to Vermont's GDP. It's a very significant number. So what concerns do you have about food safety and product safety, not just for produce, but for all of the products in Vermont's agricultural system?
And that's important as well. And there's been a change in that in the last few years. The FDA, which has decided that they want more oversight. We've had national scares over spinach and various things over
Right.
the years.
Right.
So that's sort of forced everyone to well, maybe we need to look at this program. So they decided there's a couple ways we could have done it. We could have had Washington FDA do the whole program and not worry about it, FDA.
Right.
Or they would give the states, for example, Vermont, some money, and you manage the program.
So they do it both ways.
They can do it both ways.
They either allow you to do it yourself,
Right.
or
And we chose in Vermont
ourselves.
to do it ourselves, and it's gradually building up. Full-on inspections won't begin on some of these farms for maybe a couple of years. So we're building the program
Slowly,
now about
right.
education, what you're going to need, what changes on your farm you may
Right.
have to have. So we have a whole team that's working on that now. Over the years, there's a program called GAP, which was a certification program that a lot of people relied on to focus on safety. But I think the issue is the buyers are really nervous about food scares.
Right.
So they're putting pressure on farmers to make sure that
Sure.
your practices, how you handle the water, where it's coming from, how you deal with the equipment, how it's washed, how you transport,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So it's, we've had dairy for years, we've had meat for years, and then this has sort of been this fruits and vegetable thing that probably has not been as stringent
Right.
in Vermont, at least. Maybe some of the other bigger states it has been. But we're developing that program,
Great.
and you'll see more about that over the next couple of years.
Well, it seems like every couple of years there's a scare about salmonella or something on the national scale. We haven't really had too many things in Vermont.
No.
We've been pretty
Fingers
fortunate.
crossed.
Knock on
Yeah.
wood.
We've been pretty good, and
Yeah.
I think that's probably number one. I think we have such quality producers and farmers, and they really
Right.
are focused on food safety and just the quality product that they
That
want to
brand
produce.
is really important
Yeah,
for
it
us,
really
as
is.
you were talking about outside the
Yeah.
state. I mean, they see that made
Yeah.
in Vermont or Vermont product,
Yeah.
and they know what that means.
It's very,
Yeah.
very
Right.
important. So I don't
Yeah.
think anyone really wants to get in that realm of tarnishing that at all. So
Right.
so the history of it is, we've always been really careful, and we're small enough. We probably can manage it too.
Right.
Right.
We're not large scale. We can manage that stuff.
Yeah. When I was in the Department of Labor, speaking of safety, we had some issues with farm safety,
Yeah.
with equipment, and we've had some tragedies.
It's been a difficult year on a number.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
been
I read, and I was,
It's been difficult, and it's a very dangerous
yeah.
business. You're
big,
dealing
big
with
equipment.
You're dealing with animals.
Yeah.
You're dealing with large equipment. You're dealing with land that may not be flat all the
Yeah,
time. We're
right.
in Vermont, so you've got issues there. You got people working long hours, so there's a lot of stress. Agriculture is can be a very dangerous.
Yeah. Is that
business.
more in the Department of Labor bailiwick than yours,
Yeah, and
perhaps?
you get into we're more on the education part,
Right.
making sure that supporting people having the the roll
So I
cages
knew
on
one
their
of the
tractors.
families, as you
Yeah.
knew, one of the families that had a tragedy this year, and that's
It's difficult.
It's
It's
pretty
just
hard.
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and it's just it's just part of the business, and you just never know when it's going to come. But
Right.
it
Yeah.
just
right.
awareness. Just try to be as aware of you're in an environment that can be kind of
And
difficult.
you can be out in the field all by your lonesome, and
Right.
something happen, and
Right.
there you are.
You
with
could be
no-
out in the field and a bear wanders up
Well,
to you.
that's
and
true, too,
And
and
that happened to my uncle one time, and what are you going to do? And tractors are surprisingly easy to roll over. They're, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
No, there could be some old tractors out there. They're not as equipped, but even
Right.
some of the new, it's not always going to be a safe
Right.
environment for you. It's one of those that just there's long hours, there's big equipment, and there's a lot of people around you. So
Yeah,
you've got
right, just be
and
careful.
you may be out there alone doing work.
Yeah, because there's a lot of acres out there, and there's
Yeah.
lone tractors out in the field, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
wow, if something happens, he's
And we've
by himself or
and
she.
we put together a public service announcement. We worked with Public Safety Commissioner Tom Anderson on just the cars and tractors, and there's as agriculture has changed a little bit. We have more
Oh.
commuters. We worked on a
Right.
public safety announcement, like be kind to each other.
Right.
There's that
Slow
manure
down.
spreader maybe going down the road, or that hay wagon or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, you maybe take a few seconds to wait before you have to go
Right,
around
zip
it.
around 'em and
Be a
meet
little
somebody
patient.
else coming the
Be a
other
little
way.
patient with it, and that was
Yeah.
well received. I think
Yeah.
both from the public and also from the agriculture community. Hey, look, we are traveling sometimes long distances to
Yeah.
get either product
Go down to that lower field, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
cool. So, this is apple season.
It is.
Apple crisp,
Oh.
my most favorite
Oh,
apple
I
of
love-
all time.
Love apple crisp.
We have 100. I was blown
Mm-hmm.
away by this. Most of it's Macintosh, but we have 150 types of apples. I would love to just
Mm-hmm.
go and taste them all. I mean, I go to the store and I don't know. I just do honey crisp. That's my thing. But we're very successful in
Yeah.
apples. They said we produce about 40 million pounds annually. That's a lot of apples.
A lot of apples, and I don't. The fall experience, you pick your own, going to an
Right,
orchard
yeah,
is
cool.
all ages is kind of fun, and if you, there's nothing better for a snack, and I try to bring two or
Yeah.
three apples a day. to
Cold,
work,
crisp.
cold crisp, and just have that there. I started some apple butter last night,
Yummy.
so that one takes a while. You got to let it really cook down. It's in the crock pot, so hopefully by the time I get home tonight,
Nice.
it's probably going to be brown, but
Excellent.
burnt. But no, and people making cider and apple pies.
Yeah.
Cabot has an apple pie festival in October.
Well, apple cider's gotten to be hard cider.
Hard
has gotten
cider.
to be a big thing.
That's
Huge.
another
That's
huge
everywhere.
thing. That's another growth is
Yeah.
Well, Woodchuck brought that back, right?
yeah, woodchuck.
a
brought it
woodchuck
back.
hard cider.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and there's a number of folks that
Yeah.
are doing that, the hard cider. And I guess the old, everyone thought those apple orchards and the old farmers were all for just apple pies. Well, some people, I'm hearing that they weren't all for just apple pies.
No.
There might have been, someone might have been
Exactly.
making some
Do
cider.
you know what, we only have about 5. There was a group, a nonprofit group. I have one apple tree, and some years I can't keep up with it. It just grows apples.
This is a good apple year. I think
Yeah.
people say it goes, last year was
It
not
was,
the great.
it was almost every other
It's
year.
every other year,
So
something's going on.
You call them, and they come.
Oh,
and
Salvation Farms.
Pick the
Yes.
apples for free,
Right.
and then they let you know what food shelf they brought it to, and it makes you feel
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Because the deer, I like to feed the deer, but I'd rather feed the
You're not
people.
baiting deer, though.
No. We try to get them to come up as close
All right,
as
as long as
they
you're
can. No,
okay.
no lights, no
Feeding the
I know
deer.
how to
Feeding
do
the
it.
deer.
But it's a group you call up. They come with a whole bunch
Salvation
of people
Farms, yeah.
and
Yep.
take so it doesn't go bad. I
Yeah,
mean,
and they
that's a
distribute
great
it.
thing.
It's
great.
awesome. And Apple has so many great
Yeah.
things to do with it.
So much you can do with it.
It's easy.
Apple crisp, that's another one.
Yeah.
Apple sauce,
With vanilla.
apple butter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so interesting. I know we only got a couple minutes, but an
Yeah.
interesting history lesson with apples. So, everyone thinks of beer as being like the American drink of choice. Actually, hard cider was
years ago?
was the drink to drink. Everyone drank hard cider.
Cool.
and it was a really popular product in Vermont because of
Right.
apple trees grow well here. But during Prohibition, they cut down all of the cider trees because it's a very specific type of apple that you
Yeah.
need to make cider. They cut down all the trees, and so after Prohibition, wheat and barley grow back a lot faster than apple trees do. So beer caught on because they can make it more quickly.
Excellent.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I'll
By
think
the
of
time
that
you-
next time I down a.
By the time you grow an apple
pint.
tree, it'd take quite a while.
Yeah.
Several
So
years.
finish up with the maple syrup question.
Yeah, well, I mean,
We'll,
we have to ask about maple
maple
syrup.
syrup.
Right.
We've heard that it's a growing market for maple syrup, and so you have to ask because it's Vermont, where the maple syrup industry is
Well,
at.
we've had tremendous growth in the maple sugar industry. We have sugar bushes now that have 10,000, 20,000 taps. We have we have some big packers now that are sending stuff to big markets, and I think there is potential for even more growth of marketing because it's a natural sugar, and we're really focused on it here. But I think there may be some opportunities around the country.
have we changed the name, the brand, it's not branding, grade?
Well, grades. Well, we have different grades. This was done a couple of years ago, and I'm going to have to put on my glasses to read them to you because we have. I could read them to you. Golden with delicate taste. Now I think that's the
What
old
is it?
fancy.
Fancy grade A?
It's a light golden color with a mild, delicate taste. Excellent as a table syrup or over ice cream or yogurt. Amber with rich taste.
We have an amber now.
A light amber color and full-bodied flavor. This class of syrup is a product of choice for consumers who desire the classic maple syrup flavor. We have dark with robust taste. That's a dark amber color.
Is that like the B?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
Strongly satisfy those consumers who desire the strong flavors of what is known as grade B.
Right. Oh, there you go.
And then we have one more, very dark with strong taste, nearly black. The syrup has a strong flavor that translates
that's like for
well
cooking,
into
huh?
cooking.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Where the maple flavor will carry through to
So
the
it's
finished dish.
it's close to what we have. It's just different. Different wording.
It's all
But
marketed
actually,
differently.
the words sort of explain
what it is.
Right.
we're used to.
And I think
Yeah.
over time that will be, people will get used
Yeah,
to it.
right.
It's getting past that. We all know what.
we don't like change, Anson.
Well, we don't like
don't
change.
like change.
So it's A, B, and C. We
Right.
never.
Well, I think the
do
problem with that rubric was it made it sound like it's lesser quality, right? And it's not necessarily lesser
Well,
quality.
it's
It's
used
just
for
different.
different things. It's
Right,
used for
it's
cooking,
different
used
things.
for because you don't want to know what I was brought up in.
Yeah.
But once I came
Molasses?
here, it was at
Yeah.
Mrs. Butterworth and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We actually, when we travel, we carry little
Well, sure.
things with us when you go to those not real maple syrup
Right.
places, and we whip out our maple
Sure.
leaf little jars.
little
or
flask.
whatever.
Yeah.
So in the time we have left, is there anything we should have covered or not covered?
No, I don't think so. We welcome the opportunity to talk about agriculture. We know it was important yesterday. It's important today. It's going to be vitally important tomorrow. And think of your farmer. They're doing the best possible job they can. Think of that person who's decided to develop a product in their kitchen and take it to market. Maybe then go
Right.
into the farmer's market and then want to get it to the fancy food show. And they're going to grow that. They're going to grow that business and,
Right.
and help especially our rural economy, which we
Yeah.
all needs a little
Well,
attention.
agriculture is in good hands. I'm glad
Well,
you're
you're
back,
too
and
kind.
you've got a hell of an office, by the way.
Well, yes.
You've got a great building to be working in.
It's the original National Life Building,
Yep, it's
116
gorgeous.
State Street, 1891.
Wow.
So sometimes I sit around and I look in there, I was like, wonder what it was like being a National Life in 1891,
Wow.
writing out
Right.
these things. They've got, it's all, brownstone.
fireplaces everywhere.
Fireplaces and old safes.
Yep.
And we have all the old reports from years and years
Really?
ago, what
Cool.
happened in Vermont agriculture, right down to how many potatoes we grew. It's just
Excellent.
fascinating
Good
literature in there.
Excellent.
Very
Well, thank you for
interesting.
joining us. Thank you.
Well, thank
Ben.
you.
Thank you all for listening in, and we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, keep listening beyond the sound bites.